Alright, good morning everyone. Alright, I am live here on YouTube and we've got a new tornado watch that is now up for parts of southeastern Alabama, parts of southwestern Georgia, as well as parts of the Florida Panhandle. We've had tornado warnings ongoing this morning down here over parts of the Panhandle of Florida. And really, we kind of got lucky down here in the parts of Mississippi, Alabama, as well as Louisiana with the tornado threat not coming to fruition as much. But we still have to watch today's enhanced risk as these storms continue to progress their way on off towards the east. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of get into the latest details here. As I am live on YouTube right now, let's go ahead and kind of take a look at what we've got on live radar this morning. There's not a whole lot going on at this point, but we do have this one tornado warning that really needs our attention because this is a observed tornado making its way on off towards the northeast there into parts of Florida here, and this is exactly what we've been worried about and what could have materialized further to the west last night. So let's go ahead and kind of look at this warning. We've got a damaging tornado and ping pong ball size hail out of this storm. It is a confirmed tornado located 14 miles southwest of Mariana, moving northeast at 55 miles per hour, okay? If you live down here in southwest Georgia, so if you're exiting Mariana and you're heading on off towards the northeast, towards Malone, Greenwood, Bascom, we've got 69, State Highway 69, 271, 71, all these roads here. And then as you head on over towards Donaldsonville, Iron City, Jakin, Bainbridge here in Georgia, especially those areas and surrounding communities. If you're in this area that I'm circling right now, you need to be getting to your safe place at this point. And right now there's no indication that this likely tornado that is on the ground is going to slow down. So all the way on up towards Albany, Georgia, I'm keeping an eye on this storm for you for in an hour or two. Okay, but for now, let's kind of get into the threats with this storm as it is right now. Again, it's pretty much right over Mariana, but the tornado signature just south of town. So here's where we've got that tornado signature right here, kind of coming over I-10 right now. So busy commuting. If you're driving along I-10, you know someone driving along I-10, please tell them to just wait this out. It is not worth someone being on this highway while this dangerous cell passes on through the area. But let's go over to the correlation coefficient at this point and just kind of give you a look. Here's what we got going on. We're going to look and see if we've seen any debris. There was a radar confirmed debris signature earlier on. Okay, here's that radar debris signature here just northeast of Fountain there in Florida that we had just before I started the stream and got everything going this morning. But nonetheless, I do think that this could still be a tornado on the ground. But if there is any good sign, that debris ball that you're seeing right there, colors kind of not mixing in with the rest. Notice how that kind of fades away once we get past that tornado report that happened at that location. And I think the very last pieces of that flying debris are kind of over I-10 right now. So I don't know if this is still a tornado on the ground at this point. There is still that chance. But just keep in mind that there is the potential for a relapse of the storm. It could touch back down again. It could touch back down again. So just keep all that in mind as this makes its way on off towards the northeast. Sorry, my pen was acting up there. Was acting up there for a second. Now anyway, let's go ahead and look at other warnings that we've got going on right now, because this isn't the only thing happening on radar this morning. Really active down here by the Gulf Coast. This is why this new tornado watch was issued over this region. I've just got warnings turned on for you right now. Parts of the Panhandle of Florida along I-10 there. We also had a tornado report over there. Let's see when that was. A little earlier. Spotter reported, so a train spotter reported a tornado crossing I-10 southwest of Ponce de Leon there. But anyway, so if you're in Enterprise there in Alabama, Elba, further down to the south to DeFuniak Springs there in Florida, Ponce de Leon, Freeport, we've got the severe thunderstorm warning coming overhead, and this is for a 70-mile-per-hour wind gust train coming along this storm line. And what makes this significant and dangerous for the rest of today, this whole storm line is going to continue to track east as the day goes on, okay? So we are expecting this storm line to continue heading eastward, no signs of slowing down. So once this makes its way to South Georgia, parts of southern South Carolina, This is when we'll continue to monitor all the way through this region here, damaging wind gusts along this line of storms especially. And then eventually a kind of a relapse tornado threat there along the Carolina coast later today as well. In fact, I just want to rebrief on what's going on right now again in Mariana, because this is a very big hook echo and tornado debris signature that we at least briefly had. I don't know if we've still got a tornado on the ground. There's definitely some tight rotation remaining in this area. But again, the radar indicated debris that was there earlier is starting to fade a little bit, but I think I can still see it. And maybe it's actually trying to sprout back up here just southeast of the Mariana region and heading on off towards the northeast this morning, okay? So if you live in this tornado warning box, including parts of the road, Highway 69, Highway 271, and there into parts of the Florida Panhandle, and then on over into Donaldsonville there in Georgia, all the way on up towards Albany, though. This is the track line of this storm right now. So if you're anywhere in this track line, I'd be getting ready to get in that lowest, most interior room, because this remains an observed tornado just southeast of Mariana there in the Florida Panhandle. Now, I want to get briefly away from the warnings, okay? And I want to go over now to what we can expect the rest of today. Just for a second here. So this is just going to kind of give us a look at what we've got going on the rest of today. And let's go on over to models, and we're going to take a look at the HRRR, kind of what we've got going on. So here's our wind gusts. Let's pull it up, composite reflectivity. Again, the storm line making its way this morning. Again, we've got that confirmed tornado on the ground near Mariana there in Florida. I'm just bringing you the timing for the rest of the day as well. Here we go through 9 a.m. this morning, okay? I think if you're north of this line that I'm drawing right here, I think overall your threat remains pretty low for damaging storms. Wouldn't rule out a marginal risk up into parts of North Georgia, northern South Carolina. But these cells right here, these are going to be worth monitoring. Some of these kinks ahead of the line as well into parts of southwest Georgia. So just keep all these cells in mind as we go through the day today. And then, of course, that line that's going to be working in from the west, bringing those 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. But again, look at these. I don't know what these are going to be as they push on shore. Hopefully just some rainfall, okay? But wouldn't rule out an early day tornado threat into parts of the low country of South Carolina. But look at these cells offshore. Look at these and how those are definitely supercell thunderstorms right there. And if those can make their way onshore, then we're fair game for tornado threat into parts of the Carolinas this afternoon. But nonetheless, at this point, I think the main focus is this line, maybe the chance for an embedded tornado along it. Okay, so this is as we go 11, 12 p.m. today. Continuing to play that out. Again, notice that's how some of those cells that are offshore push onshore ahead of this line right there. So parts of the low country South Carolina, parts of Wilmington, North Carolina, these areas, even the Outer Banks need to monitor this. Also notice this line becomes a little bit more feisty as it pushes on through. I think right here is when this really hits kind of peak intensity for the day, maybe even, and it stretches now this whole area, watching for that potential for damaging winds to push eastward as that line kind of strengthens up. And it continues east. So parts of Orlando, Tampa monitor this evening. Eastern parts of South Carolina, parts of eastern North Carolina still watching embedded tornado threat in this zone, I think, as we go past 6 p.m. But if I had to give a call on when I think the tornado potential is going to be highest here in the parts of East South Carolina and Southern North Carolina, it's with these cells right here. During the middle of the afternoon. And in fact, I can turn on STP, which is significant tornado parameter, and we're going to take a look at what kind of tornado fuel there is. These cells are going to be kind of on the leading flank of some of this tornado energy as it looks right now. Anything I think that develops between kind of 3 and 6 o'clock has the ability to tap into some of this quite high instability. Okay, so I think the threat's going to really arise as we go past noon this afternoon and last through especially the evening hours. But again, notice how that storm energy is high right down here in Florida this morning, the highest it's been of this event. That's why we've got those tornadoes touching down. And then that, again, the tornado energy elevates here into parts of the Carolinas this afternoon. But notice even along this line, there's the energy for tornadoes. I don't know necessarily the other ingredients are there. It looks to be more of a linear segment there in Florida, but wouldn't rule out some embedded tornado potential as well down there in the parts of central Florida this afternoon. Notice that from Palm Coast down to Tampa. So keep watch on that. But again, this line stretches all the way on up to Washington, D.C. at this point. Am I saying there's going to be severe weather up there in Washington, D.C.? No. Okay, I'm definitely not saying that. But just keep that in mind. Hey, I got a few people in the chat. Hey to y'all, good morning. But we're watching the heavy rain threat up here. Weather Prediction Center issuing that flood threat as well. So again, here's what we got right now. There's that tornado watch this morning, including, and this is going to go... let's see exactly when this is going to go till. This is going to go till 2 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so 1 Central, 2 Eastern. And this includes a few tornadoes with a couple intense tornadoes. All right, we got that couple intense wording from the Storm Prediction Center. Scattered damaging wind gusts, significant gusts, close to 75 miles per hour possible. And then an isolated large hail event as well cannot be ruled out of the question with this. So I really want everybody to pay very close attention to the forecast as these cells move on through. And then a quick update. I've been doing videos the last couple of days, too, to keep you all informed. Just going over to the snow side of this just really quickly, and then we'll go back to active radar, and then we'll kind of conclude. Look at some of the snow. We're going to get snow, and it's snowing right now in the parts of Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit. That changes over quickly to rain. And this is what it looks like around 1, 2, 3 p.m. this afternoon, like so, okay, with the snow in those areas. The snow that it starts out as in the northeast, that's going to push on out of here, so don't expect that to last long. But look at some of the wraparound snow that hits parts of Chicago later today. We'll even see snow. Could we see snow break out close to Atlanta in some of these wraparound showers this evening? Look at that. Can't rule it out. So I just did want to point that out real quick. But I do want to get back now to active warnings and radar real quick. And let's get back on over. Come on, alerts. Okay. And remember, by the way, we're watching that flood threat all the way up the East Coast, but especially in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast today. So if you live up here, especially in this stretch, monitor your flood threat today. Okay. All right, let's get back on over now to active radar single site. We're going to pick up on that radar down here near Dothan because we want to get back to this tornado warning that's ongoing here in Marianna, Florida area. And this, I can tell you now, this doesn't look quite as impressive as it did. By the way, like the stream to get this out to more people. This doesn't look quite as impressive as it was even 5 minutes ago. But we have the confirmed tag on this tornado, okay? So we still got to really monitor this closely and look. Even though the radar aspect of this doesn't look bad, we've still got this really tight couplet of rotation, wraparound strong winds right there, greens and reds meeting right here, greens and reds just towards and away from the radar. That is showing now that we've got a strong tornado maybe just northeast of Marianna, potentially still on the ground, and maybe a little bit of a weakened phase from what we saw with it earlier. We're looking now at correlation coefficient. This is going to show us if anything abnormal is in the air. And yeah, look at this. I think we may have seen a little bit of a re-touchdown because earlier we saw debris in the air down here in the southern part of the warning. That triggered a tornado report. That kind of has faded since. Notice how that fades. But look at this new signature. This is really interesting. Let's pair this up here. So we've got a new signature that developed. We've kind of got two. One near Delwood, the other near over Mallory Heights. And let's go now to the reflectivity and see where that rotation is actively. And it looks like it's closer to that one off towards the northeast. So there's some definitely some broad rotation and maybe even two areas of debris flying around right now. But it does look like south of Greenwood here. This is that area the tornado could potentially be on the ground right now. So if I live in Marianna, I'm not out of my safe place yet. But I do think you'll be in the clear momentarily. But just hang tight for a second. But in Greenwood and just southeast there, so Chippewa Terrace, I'm heading towards Two Egg Delwood, Buena Vista, Haines, these areas there. I don't know how small these areas are, but it doesn't matter how small these areas are. People are going to get impacted by this. So let's get back over now to the correlation coefficient, see if anything new has come in on that product. Again, we're looking, yeah, okay, we do have a tornado on the ground. New update. New tornado now coming onto the ground. It just picked up here near Chippewa Terrace. All right, and this might be a secondary touchdown from that tornado that we had earlier today, just in the southwestern part of this warning box not too long ago, that caused that report south of I-10. These storms are speeding along, so you don't have much time to prepare. But this right here, that is feedback right there. This is clearly a debris signature in a tornado on the ground, okay? So get ready for that. Also, we've seen a little bit of some debris flying near Buena Vista, it looks like. I don't know if that is feedback or what. Could there be 2 tornadoes now on the ground? Let's see how this has transpired, because look, we do have that appendage up there near Buena Vista. We've got kind of this larger appendage still here. There is that potential that we might have 2 small or maybe even larger tornadoes on the ground right now. Yeah, that is. Let's go back to velocity and see what we've got going on there. Could we very well have a couple tornadoes on the ground? Certainly possible. Again, this up here, whatever's near Buena Vista, kind of broad. Obviously, this being the main cell down here near Greenwood. So I just want everybody to stay tuned to this as it continues heading on off towards the northeast. But if it persists, places like Jakin, Donaldsonville, Colquitt, what's that? Damascus there in southwest Georgia, heading on up here towards Dawson, Albany, all these areas. I want everybody in this track right here to be ready for this potential tornado on the ground, okay? Not as far out as Moultrie, okay? Let's go like this. Right now, that's kind of what we're looking at with the track of this tornado as it continues on off towards the north and east. But heading back over now, we now have a new tornado warning radar indicated south east of Crestview there in Florida. Let's pull up the local radar site for there. This is just south of I-10, but once again, we have another tornado potentially heading towards I-10. Looks like some very heavy rain, and this is what I talked about in my video yesterday. Now we've got this linear convective system. We're looking for rotation that can develop along the line. Clearly here you can see, right here, this is where that line is setting up. There's already a very strong wind field with this line, okay? But what you're looking for in this case is little appendages along the line. We see one right here with red and green couplet. So we could very well have a tornado on the ground just south of I-10 this morning near Crestview, Florida. Okay. As I go on over now to the correlation coefficient, do we have anything showing up in debris? Definitely not. So that's a good sign. But that doesn't mean that a tornado isn't about to touch down, isn't on the ground already. But the main focus over here, again, is with that debris that is flying around this morning over into parts of the northern panhandle of Florida, southwest Georgia. Okay, let's get back over to this. Again, looking like, I don't know exactly why this is still showing up here, okay, near 271. If I'm up here into parts of southwest Georgia, I'm already in my safe place right now, okay, because we can't 100% guarantee there's not maybe a smaller tornado on the ground right there. This one near Greenwood, though, this is the big concern. Of course, those big lines, those are just feedback. This big circle right here coming through 69 and 162 there. This is a damaging tornado now on the ground. May have lifted off the ground a little bit from when it was on the ground earlier. But this is that same historically tornado-producing cell that is now making its way on off towards the north and east. Far southern Alabama, by the way, also technically in this alert. But I want everybody here on towards Colquitt. In fact, let's put a track on this, okay? Moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. All right, we're going to put a track on this cell at this point. All right, let's do this. We've got this cell. I'm going to draw it all the way on up here close to Albany, okay? I don't know if that included Albany just now, what I did, but we're going to put in that 50 mile per hour. All right, we've got 2 egg right now. Lovedale in 5 minutes, Hornsville in 10 minutes, Steam Mill in 14 minutes. It doesn't tell me the states that these are in, but I'm assuming we're getting over into Georgia here. Riverton in 16 minutes, Little Hope in 19, Leela in 20 minutes, Jakin 21, Donaldsonville, Sharphagen, Iron City all within the next 20-25 minutes, Killarney 26 minutes. Mayhaw, Boykin, Colquitt, Hintown, 30 to 40 minutes out. And eventually this approaches other areas like Cooktown, Rowena, Crestview, Mimsville, Arlington, Hawkinstown, okay? All right, let's get back in on that signature. Okay, whatever was there, oops, I'm still in that drawing mode. Whatever was there, and maybe that potential, what I called maybe a second piece of debris or whatever, I don't think that's there necessarily anymore, but near Bascom, still that debris. So this is heading towards Donaldsonville. Again, I don't think this is going to take long to get there. I do think if track stays on point, okay, if track stays on point, this one is going to come closer to Jakin than it is going to come to Donaldsonville, as it looks right now. Okay, but if you're in Jakin, Donaldsonville, Iron City, right here along that US 84 corridor, I'm getting in my safe place right now. You should already be there, hopefully. Colquitt, get ready to get in that safe place. Damascus, again, all those cities I listed out, be ready in your given time. I want you in that safe place well in advance of when that tornado potential increases. All right, we've got another tornado warning down here. It looks like one of ours there in parts of southern Florida, or near Crestview. That one already faded. New one down here into Freeport, Defuniak Springs, near where that tornado report is already here from earlier. Let's look at the velocity, and this is what that's looking like. I guess we're looking at this over here near the 20 corridor. Again, this is kind of a weird setup, but I guess this is what we're looking at as that heads towards Freeport. Interesting. So monitor that. But again, here's a recap of what we're doing. I don't want to sit on the stream for too long, but this area right here, monitoring you for a tornado continuing this morning. Parts of western Florida Panhandle, monitoring a tornado warning as well. But here's your Storm Prediction Center. Here's that watch that is in effect this morning. This goes until just after lunchtime today, 1, 2 o'clock. This afternoon, 1 in Central Time, 2 in Eastern Time. Southeast Alabama, parts of southern Georgia and Florida. Now remember, the further east, once you're behind this line right here, that triggered the watch and everything up ahead of it. Okay? Once you're ahead of this line right here, once you're behind it, I should say, then you're pretty much in the clear. Okay? So just keep that in mind. But right here, eventually, I think this watch is going to get shaved a little bit eastward. And then again later today, after say 1, 2 o'clock this afternoon, we really start to monitor tornado potential increasing in the Carolinas in that hatch risk area that the Storm Prediction Center issued. Watch my latest video for the latest updates. But that is all I've got for this live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. And continue to monitor those tornadoes there in Florida.